Before we get started, I wanted to let everybody know that I have a new book that is available on Kindle, and it is called Recommended Reading for the True Conservative. 50 pages long, and if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free. Other than that, it's $3.99. So again, that is Recommended Reading for the True Conservative. And now, on with the podcast.
My neighborhood, forget about all kinds of people there.
Yeah.
But just last week, a guy rotated my tires from my car to his. No, my neighbor's always problems, though. You kidding? My block is a beautiful children's zoo, you know? Last week, 4 kids escaped. I mean, always problems there, the police off, you know? No, but I'll tell you, kids are bad today, Johnny. They're bad today, Johnny.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, my kid, too, full of smart answers, you know? Well, the other day I said to him, I says, you're young, you don't have it upstairs. He told me I was old, I don't have it downstairs. Now, I mean, people can drive you nuts, Johnny, you know?
Yeah.
The other night I went into a place, I asked the bartender for a double. He brought out some guy who looked like me. You gotta relax. That's the whole thing.
That's right.
I can't relax. That's the whole problem. You kidding my friend, the doctor, Dr. Vinny Bombacci, knows how to relax.
I was going to ask you about him.
He's doing fine. He's glad you brought it up, too. Yeah. He's doing fine, you know. Doing fine. He's busy, you know. His new book just came out.
He has a new book?
Big book. All about hamburgers.
About hamburgers?
Hamburgers, yeah. The book's entitled, She Was in Love with a Quarter Pounder Until She Tried the Whopper. It's a very good
Good job. Your doctor writes a lot of funny books, doesn't he?
Yeah. All about hamburgers, yes, read, boy. Well, I'll tell you, Johnny, I count my blessings.
Do you really?
I count my blessings, you know. I'm doing okay today. Show business, I was broke for years, you know. I never had any money. I couldn't buy nothing. I used to go to orgies to eat the grapes. Are you kidding? I had no money at all. No money at all. My whole life, I never got a break with anything. You kidding? With me, nothing comes easy, nothing. Well, last week, my gay uncle died. Left me all his dresses. Don't get a break with nothing, Johnny.
Hasn't been a good year, has it?
I never had any luck with girls either. You kidding? Never had any luck with it. By the time I was 16 years old, I had sex once and VD twice. Never had any.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, Trump Tuesday, May the 12th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we will have motivation, meditation, Varney and Company, and President Trump. All that and more when I get back. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thank you. Now, Varney and Company.
Welcome back. 30 minutes before the opening bell sounds for Tuesday. Check markets. Dow Industrials up 21. NASDAQ, worst levels of the morning right now, down 202, 0.75%. Problem, oil prices are higher once again this morning. Take a look at the price of crude and the price of Brent, where we are looking at gains of about 2.25%. Crude oil is at $100.80 a barrel. That's up 2.75%. Brent at 107.22, up almost 3%. Interest rates have been on the move, spiking a bit earlier. The 10-year right now is up 2.5 basis points, sitting at a level of 4.43%. As Kevin Warsh is about to begin his term as chairman of the Fed, he will get confirmed today at 11:30. Semiconductor stocks have been the leadership in this market. Take a look at where they stand this morning, where we are looking at money coming out of the group after a huge run-up recently. Have a great day, everybody. Varney and Company picks it up. Stu, take it away.
All right, Maria, and good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. Trump goes to China. Britain's Prime Minister desperately clinging to power. The UAE attacks inside Iran. Yes, it is all happening, but we're going to start with inflation. In April, consumer prices up 0.6% in the last 12 months. That consumer price index has gone up 3.8%. That shows the impact of energy prices, and it suggests inflation is still at, shall we call it, elevated levels. Here's the market's reaction. It's a mixed picture. The Dow Industrials have turned north. They're up now 30 points. Small loss for the S&P. It's the NASDAQ that's taking it on the chin, down close to 200 points. Now look at oil, and this is one of the reasons why the NASDAQ's down so much. You're back to $100 a barrel, up $2 this morning. The price of gas, $4.50. That's the national average for regular. It is $6.15 in California. Diesel coming in this morning at $5.64. As for Bitcoin, the latest quote we have there is 80,800. That's on Bitcoin right now. Interest rates, this is also not helping the NASDAQ. We're moving up. The yield on the 10-year Treasury is 4.43. The 2-year, that's getting pretty close to 4%. You're looking now at 3.97. War news. A new report suggests the United Arab Emirates secretly joined the war against Iran. President Trump says the Iranian response to a peace deal is garbage. The Iranians are playing for time. When will our president lose patience? President Trump is on his way to Beijing, 2 days of talks. He's taking with him a very large group of top corporate executives. Trade, AI, Chinese EVs, arms sales to Taiwan, Chinese help for Iran. It is all on the table. The Wall Street Journal says Trump heads to Beijing with a strong hand. The New York Times says Iran is locked and loaded for the meetings. Political turmoil in Britain. Prime Minister Starmer says he will not resign, but he faces a revolt from his own party. He is now a leader with very little authority. The key issue is not his fight with Trump over the war. It is Britain's inability to control immigration, especially Muslim immigration. Nigel Farage's Reform Party is surging. His main issue? Immigration. We look at the slide of Washington State, Oregon, and California towards socialism. The West Coast is now very much the left coast. And it's happening again in New York City. Anti-Israel demonstrations raging outside synagogues. Mayor Mamdani has yet to address the weekend's anti-Semitic events. Tuesday, May 12th, 2026.
And Stewart showed up for work. What do you know? Non-profit news now. Back in a minute. Thank you. This is the critical function of their final manipulation: to re-engage our emotional energy, even if it's not as intense as before. Any form of emotional investment serves their purpose. Our strength, in contrast, is marked by clarity, detachment, and a refusal to engage in circular conversations. That clarity is intolerable for them. Liberals can't stand being irrelevant. They'd rather be hated than ignored, because hatred is still a form of recognition. Our withdrawal signals that they are no longer significant, and that's something that their ego cannot handle. So they escalate. If subtlety doesn't work, they may shift into guilt tripping. They'll remind us of everything that they've done for us. They'll twist past events to make themselves the victim, or even accuse us of being the problem. This reversal of roles is not a misunderstanding, it's a power play. If they can get us to explain, to justify our choices, or question reality, they've gained leverage. Our strength threatens their narrative, and their final trick is to break our confidence by making us feel responsible for the fallout. This moment reveals everything. We'll see how little regard they have for our autonomy, how much they depend on our vulnerability to maintain their illusion of control. The more composed and silent we remain, the more frantic they become. It's not about respect, it's about power, and it always has been. Their sudden insight is transactional. When they realize that we're not playing anymore, they panic. They might even try to provoke us with outrageous lies, public shaming, or calculated smears, all under the illusion that they're still relevant. But what's really happening is that they are watching a door close and their influence dying with it. Our strength strips them of access, and they can't tolerate being shut out, especially by someone they once deemed controllable. Their final manipulation is often dramatic because it's born out of fear of exposure, fear of abandonment, fear of insignificance. Liberals don't just hate losing, they hate losing to someone who refuses to fight. That's what true strength does. It removes the game entirely. It leaves them alone in the arena, flailing for attention while we walk away without a word. When the liberal senses that we've grown too strong to be manipulated through their usual tactics, flattery, guilt, aggression, silence, they often resort to something more insidious. They begin to play the victim. Not because they are victims, but because playing the victim gives them a layer of control. It's a last-ditch effort to distort perception and reframe the entire dynamic to position themselves as the ones who were wronged. This role reversal is not accidental, it's strategic. It's rooted in the liberals' deep need to preserve their image and maintain emotional leverage. By adopting the victim persona, the liberal attempts to reverse the narrative. Suddenly, our strength becomes cruelty, our boundaries become abandonment, and our refusal to engage is painted as emotional abuse. They may tell others that we've changed, that we've become cold, distant, or heartless. These statements are not about truth, they're about creating doubt, both in our minds and the minds of others. If they can appear wounded, they gain relevance, and more importantly, they regain the potential to control how the story is told. This tactic is especially effective in situations where image matters, like social circles and workplaces. These become stages where the liberal performs their wounded act with precision. They'll exaggerate events, omit their role in conflict, and highlight isolated moments that support their newfound position as the victim. If we raise our voices after months of silence, that is what they will emphasize. If we walk away after years of gaslighting, they'll describe it as betrayal. Their version of events will be carefully curated to elicit sympathy from others, often painting us as the aggressors and themselves as the misunderstood party. Internally, this tactic serves another purpose. By playing the victim, the liberal shields themselves from accountability. Liberals are allergic to responsibility, especially when it threatens their ego. Admitting fault or recognizing the harm that they have caused is psychologically intolerable for them. So instead, they project. They turn the tables. Our hurt becomes their hurt. Our anger becomes their evidence. Our silence becomes their suffering, and once again, they are at the center. This time, not as the powerful figure, but as the oppressed one. This manipulation can become confusing. It can trigger guilt, and that guilt is the hook that they need to draw us back in. They know exactly how to weaponize it. The timing is key. Their behaviors often only emerge when their control has been disrupted, never while things are working in their favor. That timing reveals the true motive. Not healing, but control. Sometimes they take this tactic to others before they bring it to us. Colleagues might subtly approach us with concern that the liberal is confused by our behavior. This triangulation is intentional. It isolates us. It puts us on the defensive. It forces us to either explain ourselves or appear cold and unfeeling. Liberals are expert storytellers when they wear the mask of the victim, and they know that many people intuitively sympathize with someone who appears to be in pain. What's important is to recognize that the role is temporary. The victim mask is a costume. Liberals don't stay in that position because it makes them feel weak in the long run, but they will use it as long as it serves a purpose. If playing the victim leads to sympathy or re-engagement, then they will lean into it. If it fails, they'll discard it and move on to the next tactic, be it rage, blame, or total erasure. The real goal has never changed. It's always been about control. By framing themselves as the victim, the liberal attempts to reinsert themselves into our life without appearing threatening. It's a softer approach, but it's just as calculated. They want us to feel conflicted, uncertain, maybe even remorseful, because the moment that we doubt our strength, the moment we begin to question whether we've gone too far in protecting ourselves, is the moment that they start to regain influence. The victim card's not an admission of weakness. It's a move on the chessboard, a subtle, manipulative move designed to pull us back into the cycle. When a liberal realizes they can no longer control us through fear, guilt, flattery, or rage, they often turn to one of their most powerful weapons, our own sense of obligation. This is a deeply manipulative tactic, and it relies not on their strength, but on our compassion. Liberals study the emotional makeup of the people that they target. They learn that we value. They learn what we feel responsible for and where our emotional pressure points are. If we care deeply, believe in loyalty, forgiveness, or giving second chances, they will use those very values against us. This tactic is subtle at first. The language is often carefully chosen, not demanding, but suggestive. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, Dr. Berg.
Hey, it's Dr. Berg here. In this video, we're going to talk about how to raise testosterone in men, okay? So, the aging process alone lowers testosterone. By the time you hit 40, testosterone is on its way down. It's at its peak at 18 years old, okay? So, and then what happens, a lot of people start taking bioidentical hormones. The problem with taking bioidentical hormones is that it inactivates your own testicle and adrenals that are supposed to make it, okay? So we end up creating a problem with shrinking testicle and an adrenal that becomes inactivated if you take it too long. The symptoms for low testosterone would be prostate enlargement. Now, sometimes people will have this confusion and say that, well, I thought testosterone causes a prostate enlargement. And they're talking about a powerful form of testosterone called DHT. Well, first of all, if testosterone causes a prostate enlargement, then as you get older and men have more incidence of prostate enlargement, then that does not correlate with the aging process that lowers testosterone. So really what happens is the lower testosterone that makes the estrogen become more. So it's the estrogen dominance in a male body that creates the enlargement of the prostate. In fact, certain doctors use DHT to shrink the prostate. So more testosterone will make the prostate healthier and protect the prostate against the estrogen. Decreased libido, erectile dysfunction. We talked about the shrinking testes. Muscle loss. It's hard to get muscle tone. You're working out, you can't get the toning the muscles. You start losing collagen. Things start hanging from your body like breast tissue and the skin and collagen. Loss of vitality, loss of body hair, even in your lower part of your legs. Man boobs, higher voice. Other than that, you have nothing to worry about, right? Okay, what causes this problem? Number one, too much estrogen. It's in the meats, it's in the dairy products, it's in the food. GMO food, that's why you have to do organic, hormone-free. It's even in the water supply. There's estrogen if you do tap water. So that's why you have to get a filter and only drink filtered water. And most filters will get rid of the estrogen. But yeah, it's in the water supply. Having liver be damaged. If you have a fatty liver, you're going to produce more estrogen, and that's going to lower testosterone, unfortunately. If you drink alcohol, that's very estrogenic. That's going to make the estrogen go up and the testosterone go down. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. High insulin. Insulin from sugar, like grazing at night, snacking too much. Like by the time you have dinner and you keep eating from that point while you're sitting there watching TV, it's going to spike insulin and it's going to lower testosterone. So you want to do 3 meals a day and that's it. Maybe even 2 meals a day. Low-fat diets, that'll do it. Medications, statins, high blood pressure medications, diabetic medications. Those are the three that really mess with this hormone. And this other thing called high aromatase. That's an enzyme in your body that's made by the adrenals. It's also made by the testes that converts your testosterone to estrogen. So here you are trying to salvage that last bit of testosterone you have, and this darn enzyme is converting it to estrogen, and the body's becoming more feminized. Well, there's a couple things that you can do to correct that. Number one, this remedy called stinging nettle root. It's a aromatase inhibitor, okay? Zinc is an aromatase inhibitor. You can take those to decrease this process happening in your liver and your body. So those are two good remedies that you can get from the health food store. The other thing is to increase growth hormone. Growth hormone is the anti-aging hormone. Growth hormone is made by the pituitary, and it works through your liver. Wherever growth hormone goes, testosterone follows. So there's several things that will increase growth hormone. Eating a moderate, not high amount of protein with each meal. Sleep, getting enough sleep, lowering stress, which will enhance the sleep. Intense full body and exercise. That will spike growth hormone, spike testosterone. Deadlifts are the best workout to increase testosterone because you're using the upper body and lower body, but you have to get your form down and work up very gradually, or you could hurt your back. Intermittent fasting, okay? That will also correct the insulin right here. So not eating so frequent will help this as well. That's interesting. The whole thing is, it's like, I don't know who came up with this idea. We have to have 3 meals a day or 6 meals a day. You gotta want to eat when you're hungry. If you eat the right things, you're going to be more satisfied. You'll work off your own fat, and you'll need to eat less. But you never want to eat if you're not hungry. Okay, anti-estrogenic foods. That would be cruciferous, okay? Kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. Very, very important to clean out the estrogen, because it could be the estrogen that's holding down your testosterone. If you want something to enhance that, I have a product called Whole Cruciferous Food. It has all the cruciferous. You take about 6 of these, 3 to 6 a day, and that will help you to enhance these cruciferous foods. And then you want to decrease cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone from the adrenals, and that is kind of dependent on how much sleep that you get, but also sun. I had this guy. He had this pot belly. And all you have to do is go to Florida for 1 week in the sun, and it just comes right down. It's amazing. So a good amount of sun lowers cortisol. That will help shrink the belly as well. So that's another remedy. Yes, you can do vitamin D in the winter, but if you can get some sun, that would help lowering cortisol. Okay?
And that was Dr. Berg. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, a little motivation.
You can't go back. Once you've started this damn journey, you can only go forward. So, you got 2 choices. One, you get scared, you give up, then you burn up. And the second one, you say, Get! Fear! And you barrel through it. And when you come out on the other side, I guarantee you're going to be stronger than you ever thought possible.
And my personal question to you is, why not you?
Eventually, you are going to have to jump. You cannot just exist in this life. You have got to try to live. If you're waking up thinking that there's got to be more to your life than it is, man, believe that it is. Believe in your heart of hearts that it is. But to get to that life, you're going to have to jump.
You've got the brains. You can make decisions. You can study the plan. You can change your life. You can grow immensely in the next few years. You can make your dreams come true. You can build a financial wall around your family nothing can get through. You can become healthy. You can become powerful. Why not you?
Why not you be the one to make it, to start that business, to do the impossible, to do what people don't even think that anybody could do? Why can't it be you?
How do you connect these?
If you can see it here and you have the courage enough to speak it, it will happen. So
intentionally act like the person you want to become. Because when you intentionally act like the person you want to become, your brain sees you taking those actions, so your brain starts to change the way it relates to you. When your brain sees you high-fiving yourself in the mirror, it starts to go, oh, wait a minute. Stephen loves himself. Stephen's cheering for himself. We don't beat Stephen up.
You need to just keep living. Listen to the pain. It's both history teacher and fortune teller. Pain teaches us who we are, Wade. Sometimes it's so bad we feel like we're dying. But we can't really live till we die a little, can we?
there's no worldly possessions that should come between you and your expression. Human beings, we're a blip in existence. Death is promised.
There's a quote that I've fallen in love with. The magic you are looking for is in the work you're avoiding. Dude, the magic you are looking for is in the work you're avoiding.
A lot of times people believe in certain things, but they keep to themselves. They don't put it out there. If you truly believe in it, if you become vocal with it, you are creating that law of attraction and it will become reality.
The more I listen to this, the better my life gets. If they don't have what you want, don't listen to what they say. There's no greater waste of time than justifying your actions to people who have a life you don't want.
It's the what if I can pull off a miracle? What if I can become someone that no one thinks I can be? And just me talking about that, I have the hair going up on my arms because it makes me just like, what if I can be that guy that people who call and this and that, and now I'm speaking at Tom Ferry's event.
Why not you? Why not you? With good self-esteem. Why not you starting to change and setting goals? Why not you starting to make progress toward financial independence? If I can do it, you can do it.
If there is something that you feel is good, something you want to do, something that means something to you, try to do it. Because I think you can only do your best work if you're doing what you want to do, and if you're doing it the way you think it should be done.
And that was a little motivation. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now a little meditation. And that was a little meditation. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now from the ex-account, Officer Lou, L-E-W.
My grandparents are black, all 8 of my great-great-grandparents, all 16 of my great-greats. On my mother's side, my ancestors were enslaved in Alabama. On my father's side, we were enslaved in Texas. I am not oppressed. I'm not oppressed, and I'm not a victim. I'm neither oppressed nor a victim. I travel all across this country of ours. And I check into hotels, and I fly commercially, and I walk into retail establishments, and I order food in restaurants. I go wherever I want, whenever I want. I am treated with kindness, dignity, and respect, literally from coast to coast. I have 3 children. They are not oppressed either, although they are victims. I've taught my children they are victims of 3 things: their own ignorance, their own laziness, and their own poor decision making. That is all. My children, we are not victims of America. We are not victims of some unseen 190-year-old force that kind of floats around in the ether. Putting critical race theory into our classrooms is taking our nation in the wrong direction. Racism in America would by and large be dead today if it were not for certain people and institutions keeping it on life support. And sadly, very sadly, one of those institutions is the American education system. I can think of nothing more damaging to a society than to tell a baby born today that she has grievances against another baby born today simply because of what their ancestors may have done 2 centuries ago. There is simply no point in doing that to our children. And putting critical race theory into our classrooms in part does that. Putting critical race theory into our classrooms is not combating racism. It's fanning the flames of what little embers are left. I encourage you to support this resolution. Let racism die the death it deserves, and let's keep living the life of the country that we want. Thank you.
And that was the ex-account, Officer Lou. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now from the ex-account, Tony.
You see what happened in Tennessee yesterday? When they got rid of that last so-called majority black district. That one dude with the afro, man, act a damn fool. Talking all that shit. He can't bust a fucking grape, right? He wanted somebody to knock his ass out, but he can't bust a grape, but he talking all that shit. Crying and bitching about a fucking district. An all fucking black district. They want segregation, man. But I guarantee you, they couldn't tell us one motherfucking thing in the last 20, 30 years that so-called majority black district has done good for black people in Memphis, Tennessee. Have you heard about Memphis, Tennessee? Have you heard anything good come out of Memphis, Tennessee? Fuck no. But they still crying about fucking representation. What, symbolic? What has they done? What are these fucking so-called majority black districts that ran by motherfucking black people and fucking white Democrats? What? Not a motherfucking thing. Nothing in Memphis is good, man. There's some good people in Memphis, but you know, I'm talking about the government. Memphis ran by fucking, they have a black mayor, black city council, black every fucking thing in Memphis. And look at it, they still crying. They want a fucking representation for what? Look at the schools in fucking Chicago, all that black representation. They got Baltimore. I think on the west side of Baltimore, all them fucking boarded up buildings. The fucking streets look like shit. But yet they keep crying about some black representation for what? They don't give a fuck about black people, none of these people, none of these Democrats. They just want to win. They just want to fucking vote. Oh, Jim Crow, they take it all fucking right. Good. Good. All these southern states should be fucking red as red can be. We don't need no fucking Democrats down here in the south. Take your ass up north. Up north, motherfuckers. What has a fucking majority black district? Give me one advantage of having a fucking black person running that district. What?
And that was the account. Tony. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, the Mossad.
Rome, autumn of 1981. Golden leaves fell on Via Veneto as the eternal city prepared for another ordinary day. But in the discreet offices of the Israeli embassy, nothing was ordinary that October morning. David Kinch, deputy director of Mossad, held between his fingers a dossier that would make any intelligence agent lose sleep. Abu Nidal, the man Aya had classified as the most dangerous terrorist in the world, was on Italian soil. It wasn't a rumor, it wasn't speculation, it was verified information, confirmed by 3 independent sources. The Palestinian responsible for airport massacres, assassinations of diplomats, and attacks that left hundreds dead was there, breathing the same Roman air, walking the same streets where tourists took pictures of the Colosseum. For Israel, this was not just an opportunity, a moral obligation shrouded in extreme urgency. Kimchi knew he had a tiny window of time, perhaps only hours before Abu Nidal disappeared again into the shadows of the terrorist underworld. The operation needed to be surgical, silent, and absolutely discreet. They were in Allied territory, in the very heart of the Vatican, in a city where every corner had eyes, where every suspicious movement would be noticed. Any diplomatic slip-up could create an international incident of catastrophic proportions. But letting Bunal escape was unthinkable. The man had Jewish blood on his hands, innocent blood spilled in airports, synagogues, and city streets around the world. Quench called an emergency meeting. He needed someone special, someone who could move around Rome without raising the slightest suspicion. And that's when Raf Eden's name came up in conversation. A veteran of 1,000 clandestine battles, Eden was known for his almost supernatural ability to camouflage himself in any environment. He had participated in the capture of Adolf Eichmann in Buenos Aires, an operation that had become legendary in the annals of Mossad, but this mission in Rome would require something even more audacious. "We need the perfect disguise," said Kinch, his eyes fixed on the map of Rome spread out on the table. "Something that gives us total access to the city without arousing any suspicion." That's when Jonathan Levi, one of the agency's most creative tactical planners, had the idea that would change everything. "What if our agent was a priest?" he suggested, almost in a whisper. The silence that followed was dense, laden with possibilities. Rome was the world capital of Catholicism. Priests were part of the urban landscape, invisible due to their omnipresence. No one would question a priest walking the streets, entering hotels, asking questions. The cassock would be the perfect camouflage, a shield of respectability that would open doors and dispel suspicions. But there was a gigantic problem: how to make an Israeli agent convincingly appear to be a Catholic priest. Any mistake, any out-of-place gesture, any mispronounced word in Latin could destroy the entire operation. Preparation began immediately. Rafan was summoned to Lviv for intensive training that would challenge even his vast experience. It wasn't enough to wear the black cassock and a clerical collar. He needed to become a priest in every fiber of his being. Mossad discreetly hired an unlikely consultant, Father Giovan Marti, an Italian priest who worked in Rafah and maintained cordial relations with the Jewish community. Martucci never knew the true reasons for the training, believing he was helping in a humanitarian rescue operation. For 2 weeks, Eden learned everything, from how to hold a rosary correctly, letting the beads slide between his fingers with the familiarity of decades of prayer. How to make the sign of the cross, not the hurried gesture of an amateur actor, but the deliberate and reverent movement of someone who had repeated it thousands of times. He memorized prayers in Latin, studied the hierarchical structure of the church, learned about the different religious orders and their distinct customs. He discovered that Franciscans behaved differently from Jesuits, that a diocesan priest had subtly different postures from a priest of an order. Every detail mattered. The support team worked in parallel, creating a complete identity. Father Domenico Russo was born on Mossad papers, a 52-year-old priest, born in Naples, ordained 27 years ago, currently serving in a small parish in Bergamo. Documents were forged with artistic perfection: ordination certificate, letters of recommendation from fictitious bishops, even photographs. Aged photographs, showing the young seminarian Domenico alongside colleagues who never existed. Everything needed to withstand any superficial scrutiny. Meanwhile, the intelligence team in Rome worked feverishly, tracking Abu Nidal's movements. The terrorist was staying at the Hotel Mediterraneo, a mid-range establishment near the terminus station. He wasn't alone. He traveled with at least 3 bodyguards and maintained an erratic pattern of movement, leaving at different times, using varied routes, classic behavior of someone trying to avoid surveillance. But Mossad had resources that Bunidal underestimated. Agents disguised as merchants, tourists, and local workers documented every departure, every return, every visitor. Grainy photographs began to piece together a pattern. Bunidal seemed to be in Rome for meetings with Libyan intermediaries, likely negotiating weapons or planning new attacks. Time was running out. Quench received information that the terrorists planned to leave Italy in less than a week. The operation needed to happen now, before the window closed completely. RFFYE now completely transformed. Father Domenico boarded a commercial flight to Rome. He traveled in economy class, reading a worn breviary, exchanging discreet pleasantries with other passengers. When the plane landed at Fiumicino, he was just one of the countless priests arriving daily in the Eternal City. He passed through immigration without receiving even a second glance. His modest suitcase, besides simple clothes and personal items common to any priest, contained carefully hidden items, a sophisticated listening kit, additional false documents, and a small syringe containing a compound developed by Mossad laboratories. Non-lethal, but capable of incapacitating an adult man for hours without leaving detectable traces in conventional toxicological tests. Father Domenico's first days in Rome were dedicated exclusively to establishing credibility. Eden knew that any rash move could ruin everything. He stayed in a modest guest house run by nuns of the Order of the Sisters of Charity, a place where visiting priests often stayed when they came to the capital. There he attended morning masses, shared simple meals, and discussed theology and pastoral matters with other religious guests. His performance was impeccable, a result not only of intensive training but also of his innate ability to absorb and reproduce behaviors. Meanwhile, he established discreet contact with the Mossad support team in Rome. The meetings took place in different locations each time: a crowded cafe near the Pantheon, the Pincian Gardens, an old bookstore in Trastevere. Never at the same times, never with the same agents. The information was transmitted quickly. The Bunidal maintained an irregular routine, but a pattern was emerging. On Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, the terrorists visited an art gallery near Piazza Navona, probably a point of contact. Eaton decided to make the reconnaissance personally. On a sunny Thursday afternoon, Father Domenico walked calmly along Via del Corso, occasionally stopping to admire shop windows, greeting other religious figures with discreet nods. He arrived at Piazza Navona, as the shadows began to lengthen, sat down at an outside cafe, and ordered an espresso. From there he had a clear view, from the gallery. 40 minutes later, Onidal appeared. Even from a distance, Eden recognized the face he had memorized from dozens of photographs. The terrorist walked with excessive confidence, flanked by 2 clearly armed men under sports jackets. They entered the gallery and remained there for almost an hour. Eden observed everything, mentally registering every detail. The way the bodyguards positioned themselves, the blind spots, the possible escape routes. But that wasn't the moment. Too many civilians, too much movement, too high a risk. He needed a better, more controlled opportunity. The chance arose 3 days later, through providential information. One of the support agents, infiltrated as an employee of the Mediterranean Hotel, discovered that Onidal had booked a therapeutic massage for the following morning, a private session in his own hotel room. He would be attended by a masseur who came weekly. The team acted with impressive speed. The real masseur, an Italian named Marco Benedetti, was discreetly intercepted the night before. He wasn't injured. He simply received a very generous offer, 5 million lire, to take an unexpected week-long vacation without asking questions. Benedetti, struggling with gambling debts, accepted immediately and was put on a train to Florence before he could reconsider. Raffan would become the substitute, but there was a technical problem. A priest giving a massage would be suspicious, to say the least. The solution came through another layer of disguise. On the fateful morning, Father Domenico left the nuns' boarding house as usual. Impeccable cassock, breviary under his arm, but on a discreet side street, he quickly got into a car where a support team was waiting. In less than 10 minutes, the transformation was complete. The cassock was replaced by casual clothes of a professional masseur, light trousers, a white polo shirt, and comfortable sneakers. A leather bag containing eye towels and massage equipment completed the disguise. False documents identified him as Marco Benedetti. At 10 a.m., Eden entered the Hotel Mediterraneo through the main entrance, greeted the receptionist with casual familiarity, and went up to Abu Nidal's room. The fourth-floor corridor was silent, lit by light. A diffuse breeze streamed in through windows at the end of the corridor. Eden walked with measured steps, controlling the adrenaline coursing through his veins. Decades of experience in field operations had taught him that emotional control was as important as any weapon. He knocked on the door of room 412, 3 firm, but not threatening knocks. There was movement inside, footsteps approaching. The door opened, revealing not Bunadal, but one of the bodyguards. A man, his suspicious eyes examining the visitor from head to toe. Marco, masseur, Eitan said in fluent Italian, with a perfect Neapolitan accent, raising his equipment bag as credentials. The bodyguard hesitated, then turned and said something in Arabic toward the room. A voice answered. Abu Nidal's voice authorizing entry. The terrorist was lying on the bed, wearing only the hotel's white bathrobe, seemingly relaxed, without the paranoia he usually displayed in public. That would be his fatal mistake. He entered maintaining a professional posture, beginning to prepare eyes and towels with rehearsed movements. He had practiced basic massage techniques during training, enough to appear convincing for the crucial first few minutes. The bodyguard remained in the room, positioned near the window, observing this. It complicated everything. Eden needed to neutralize Abu Nidal without immediately alerting the security guard. He began massaging the terrorist's shoulders, applying firm, professional pressure. Abu Nidal murmured something in Arabic, seemingly in approval. 5 minutes passed. 10. Eden worked methodically, waiting for the right moment. Then it happened. The bodyguard was distracted, looking out the window at the street below, where some event momentarily caught his attention. It was the opening Eden had been waiting for. In a movement practiced 1,000 times in training, his hand slid into the inside pocket of his bag, extracting the preloaded syringe. The next movement was so quick that Bunidal didn't have time to react. The needle pierced the terrorist's neck. The pressure was applied. The chemical compound entered his bloodstream. Bunidal tried to scream, but the sound that came out was only a muffled groan. The bodyguard turned around alarmed, his hand instinctively going for the weapon under his coat, but Eden was already in motion. Years of training in Krav Maga exploded into a precise blow to the bodyguard's throat, followed by another to the temples. The large man fell like a felled tree, unconscious before he hit the ground. Bunidal lay paralyzed on the bed, his eyes wide with horror and confusion, trying to move limbs that no longer obeyed his brain's commands. The compound, the chemical, was taking effect. Progressive muscle paralysis without loss of consciousness. Eden needed the terrorist to be awake for the next phase. With brutal efficiency, he tied up Abu Nidal, using the hotel's own bed sheets. He gagged him with a towel, then repeated the process with the unconscious bodyguard. He worked quickly, but without panicking, checking the corridor through the peephole before opening the door. Empty, he signaled discreetly, and seconds later, 2 Mossad agents appeared, dressed as hotel maintenance workers, pushing a large laundry cart. Abu Nidal was placed inside the cart, covered with dirty towels and sheets. The bodyguard was left tied up in the room. He would be found eventually, but not before the team was far away. The group descended in the service elevator, encountering only a genuine employee who barely glanced at them. 3 minutes later, they were in an unmarked van parked on the side street. Abunadal, still paralyzed but fully conscious, was now in Mossad's hands. Avon followed carefully planned secondary routes, avoiding surveillance cameras and high traffic areas. Inside the vehicle, Ian finally allowed himself a moment of controlled relief. The most dangerous part was complete, but the mission was far from over. Abunadal needed to be interrogated and then permanently removed from circulation. But all this needed to happen without leaving any trace connecting the operation to Israel. The chosen safe house was on the outskirts of Roma, an abandoned village surrounded by ancient olive trees, a phantom property registered under the name of a fictitious company from the Simon Islands. There, Abunadal was transferred to a basement, specifically prepared for interrogation. David Kimch personally flew in from a live screen to conduct the questioning. For 3 days, under the effects of truth serum and sophisticated psychological techniques, Abunadal revealed information that would dismantle terrorist cells in 7 countries. Names, locations, bank accounts, contacts with governments that secretly financed terrorism. Everything was meticulously documented, but the final question remained. What to do with the terrorist? Taking him to Israel would be impossible. The diplomatic scandal would be catastrophic. Killing him would leave a body that would eventually be identified. The solution it came from Jonathan Levi, the same planner who had suggested the priest disguise. Abunadal would simply disappear. Transformed into one of the thousands of anonymous disappearances in Europe, he received a new identity as a Syrian refugee, false documents, and was put on a flight to Damascus with a pharmacologically hazy memory of the last few days. The administered drugs would guarantee mental confusion for weeks. When he finally regained complete lucidity, he would be under the surveillance of agents who ensured that any attempt to resume terrorist activities would be immediately neutralized. Back in Rome, Father Domenico made his last appearance. He attended morning mass at the nuns' boarding house, warmly bid farewell to the Sisters of Charity, thanked them for their hospitality, and left in a taxi for the airport. The cassock was discarded in Tel Aviv, but the operation would go down in the secret annals of Mossad as one of the most audacious infiltration ever carried out. RFEN never spoke publicly about those days in Rome, taking the details to the grave when he died in 2019. The veterans of Israeli intelligence still they tell the story in reverent whispers. The story of the priest who never existed, who saved countless lives by neutralizing one of the most dangerous terrorists of the 20th century.
And that was the Mossad. And obviously there was AI involved in the creation of this because the AI mispronounces Abunadal's name several times. So, very disappointing, but there you go. The Mossad. Back in a minute.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we the people choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing.
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
People dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
Thank you. This is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that you're not neutral and that the government has no rights.